Hello, welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine. I have a flip through of a journal I recently finished that I created from a 1941 book. And I thought you might like to look through it with me. So we're going to do a flip through. So as I mentioned, the publication date was 1941. So it's about 80 years old. Not quite. It's a nice size book. It's pretty big. The spine is 2 inches deep. It is 6¼ inches wide and it is 9¼ inches long. I'll show you the spine. The spine says The Complete Plays of Gilbert and Sullivan. And it was quite plain when I originally adopted this book, but I used gilding wax and I added some beautiful gold gilding onto it, and then I added these signature threads onto the outside of the spine. These are decorative. They are not the actual signature threads that hold the text block in, because I've done a hidden hollowback spine into this book. Let me show you what that is in case you haven't heard of a hidden hollowback spine. It means that's empty down there. The textbook is attached to the cover along the shoulders here. And what it does is it means that your book will fall open so that you can journal in it and write in it much easier. It's just a nice little thing, especially for a big book like this. This journal has 9 signatures in it and a total of 224 pages of varying sizes. So this is a big, big journal. And you'll see when we start going through it that it has lots and lots of room for journaling for you. I've added laces along some of the edges here. I have added this lovely picture of a young lady working in the garden shed. And in addition, I put gilding wax around the edge of her picture as well. And in addition, I added this lovely metal detail that has a keyhole in it. I just thought that really looked beautiful. I pick these things up at my various secondhand sources, thrift stores, charity shops, antique shops, garage sales. Everything in this book is from a secondhand source. My junk journals are made from junk, even though, if I do say so myself, I think they're beautiful. So let's take a look inside. Before we leave the cover, since there was a keyhole here, I thought that I would also attach a cute little brass key there, just as a little charm, a little detail. I think that looks pretty. Here, let me straighten out my lace so it doesn't drive everyone crazy while we look through this Gilbert and Sullivan book. I have included some of the original pages in the book, and then there's also various other fun things that we'll take a look at. So when we open it up, you will see this string here is removable. It was just my way of putting the little key on the front. It doesn't seem to get in the way, if you ask me. It just tucks in there. There's lots of room for it. But if you don't like it, you can remove it. The end papers were made from from wrapping paper that I have. I have a big book of reproduction wrapping papers from an English chintz collection from the Victoria and Albert Museum. So both the front and the back have matching really beautiful end papers. I think they just look stunning, and I think the pinks and the rosy colors here match the cover really nicely. There is glassine tissue covering the first page, a little girl working in the garden. This is the original first page of the book. I ran some music down the edge of the paper, and on this side you will see that I was able to save the original copyright date to show you that it was actually from 1941. So right off the bat, you can see I've left these first pages for you to enjoy making them your own. On the lace, on the edges that have lace, I have pinned little charms. I find them on necklaces and I take them apart. Here's a little tuck spot that I created. There's a vellum envelope here, and inside I have put some word snippets. Oh, come on. Hold on. Let's get this in the... There we go. So I saved some really cute little word snippets for you to use anywhere you like in the book. I think it turned out pretty. Sorry if my fingers are orange, but I've been I've been working on projects this morning. Behind the envelope is just a tiny little tuck spot. I cut up an old calendar. So those actually can be journaled on. I thought they were fun. The sweet little lady standing guard right here over the word snippets is actually Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I got this photo from out of a biography book on her life. And then there's some tea-dyed blank paper in behind for you to use wherever you wish. You'll see, as I said, many pages of varying sizes. So there's big pages, mostly big pages, but there's half pages, little pages. I think that it adds variety and it's really pleasing to the eye and fun to work with. Again here, just in case, I stamped in the date of publication for the book. The pages in this book are either naturally yellowed, like this one is, or else I have tea-dyed them myself. And as ever, even all the papers are from thrifted sources. I don't purchase my paper at big box stores. I use what I can find from secondhand sources. Here's a page from the original book. I've used music to reinforce the folds because they were a little bit sad. This is just a fussy cut that was one of my favorites, and I was saving it for the right journal, and this is the right journal. I just thought they were beautiful. This is a page from a Beatrix Potter daybook. This is a page out of Anne of Green Gables, and it's the chapter Anne is invited out to tea. So I put a little couple there enjoying a cup of tea, and there's a little tag because it's a pocket. And you can journal on the back of the tag. Hold on, let me move this up a bit. There we go. A page out of an old dictionary. This is a big flip out with lots of room for you to do as you wish. I did this lengthening of the flip out. It's sort of my tip of the hat to Nick the Booksmith. She loves doing this in her journals, and I love watching when she does that. So I thought I am going to take a lesson from the master, Nick the Booksmith, and I've actually done a few similar types of flip outs in this book. You'll see when we come to them. And then I added this little, looks like I suspect a sister and a brother sitting there. Dictionary. The other side of the Anne of Green Gables, and this chapter is Matthew Insists on Puffed Sleeves. I loved that chapter. And so I found a picture of a little girl and she's got puffed sleeves. So I thought that was fitting. The other side of the Beatrix Potter daybook. The other side of original page out of the original text block. Here's a little tuck spot that I made from a 1909 music book, the back cover of the music book. And I did a little collaging, and then I've tucked in a few places for you to journal on from a book by the artist John Seymour. And then I also included, I collect old recipe bundles of old recipe cards at my thrift stores. I don't know whose this is. I don't even know if it's a good recipe. You might want to try. I just thought Johnny Cake was kind of fitting since Gilbert and Sullivan, they wrote so many military-themed operettas, naval, HMS Pinafore and the Pirates of Penzance. that sort of thing. So I thought, well, let's put in the recipe for Johnny cakes. This lace edging has a little charm on it that I made. I had left over parts of the illustration from the front cover when I created it and made it thicker to mat it. And I didn't want to waste any of it because it's really cute. It's just a little potted plant on the windowsill. And I love that you can see the stained glass window in behind. So I saved that, and I saved another one here. And on the back, I glued a word snippet that says acceptance. This is a page out of a 1958 Workbasket magazine, the real deal. Here's another of my tip of the hat to Nick the Booksmith. I'm going to move this over so you can see, because this actually becomes a tuck spot. I created a envelope out of a page of music out of Handel's Messiah, and I put this little frog with a drum on it, and it's actually the tuck spot. Inside, I just put a little Rolodex card, a tea-dyed Rolodex card. You can put whatever you like in here. In you go. Thank you. And then that just tucks back in behind the little frog. And it's also a tuck spot in behind. So there's lots of little hidden spaces to put your little hidden notes to yourself in there. I'm going to move this doily. It looks pretty. It's getting in my way. A rusty paper clip with some eyelet lace at the top, and some tea-dyed ledger paper just for journaling on. Here's a tuck spot that I created. The brown paper is actually from a 1940s Mario Lanza album. It was the sleeve that covered the record. And I just did a little collage on it with some washi tape and the rose and a ticket and a stamp and a little bit of lace. And you can put things in behind. This is an original page out of the original text block. Same with here. This is a page from Winnie the Pooh. This is the chapter with when Kanga and Baby Roo come to the forest. There's Kanga giving Piglet a bath. This is a page out of an old gardening book, the Manual of Gardening. Here's another of my hats off to Nick the Booksmith. I love how those turned out. No wonder she loves doing them. I will definitely do this again. It just gives a nice little variety. This is ledger paper from an antique shop out in Prince Edward County, Ontario. I found a huge old book with numbers up in the corners. Another flip out. Lots of room in this book. That's a little puzzle piece from a vintage children's puzzle. It just makes a cute little colorful area. Kanga and Baby Roo. Another little tuck spot from, I made a pocket out of one of my, a little interesting illustration that I put aside because I thought I'll use this somewhere someday. And then I put a word snippet here that says, that was the secret. So I thought maybe you could write your secrets and tuck it in behind. Here's a small dictionary page. This is a page out of an old, I'm not sure whether it's 40s or 50s. They didn't put the date in it, but this is the real deal. That's not a reprint. That's a child's reader, the Dick and Jane type series. This is a scan, and I don't use scans very often, but I allow myself to use this one. I actually have the original of this card, and it was tucked in my great-great-grandmother's Bible. So my great-great-grandmother, Annie Dorsey, for some reason saved this. So that makes it special to me, and I think it's beautiful. It's from a grocery store in Toronto. They lived in New Toronto at the time. So I like to imagine that maybe she went to that grocer's one day and she got this tucked in with her bag of groceries, her paper bag of groceries, or her basket maybe. Who knows? But so not very often I use a scan. This one I give myself permission because I actually have the original from my great-grandmother. You'll see here, this is a permanent bookmark that I have put in, and it's affixed into the hidden hollowback spine. So you can place it wherever you want, wherever you happen to be working in your journal at the time. This is a page from Canadian artist Alida Karstad. She's a naturalist artist, out of her daybook. Another tip of the hat to Nick the Booksmith. I've lengthened that flip out with a genuine library card catalog card. I like this. This appeals to me because I love all the creamy ivory colors, and that the only color in this spread is just the pale pink line on the catalog card. I love that. Here's tuck spot. Let me see if I've got something I can tuck in there. Here we go. This is actually an offcut from, I had some leftovers from the end papers. So you can put papers in there to save there. This is Mr. and Mrs. Loria, Birds of Paradise, address New Guinea. I fussy cut them, and I think they look lovely right there. That's Mr. Loria, and that's Mrs. Loria. This is a vintage stamp I have. I found at one of my shops one day. So I put that on there. A page out of Edith Holden's book. You'll see that this edge is unfinished. I really liked that it looks, you can tell I ripped it out of a book and folded it in half. I just liked it. The heart wants what it wants, and I wanted this to definitely be apparent that it was taken out of Edith's book, and that you can see where the signature threads were sewn into her book. Another little tag that's been sewn right into the signature. Here's a sweet little embellished paper clip. It's copper, and then I added a vintage button and some trim, and I just added some journaling paper underneath there to show you how you can use that, and you can put that wherever you like. I'm growing some of these in my garden this year. That's why I loved putting this one in. Canna lilies. I've never grown them before, and I am absolutely and utterly in love. Here's a little collaged tuck area with a little lady here, and a stamp from South Africa. And again, as with the music envelope, you just need to lift out that part of the envelope, and inside is a card from a flower shop, and you can journal on it. It's blank. And then I glued it in so that it also is a tuck spot, and that's an offcut from some Edith Holden paper into a little bookmark. I thought she looked pretty. This was on the page that has Buttercup's aria from the HMS Pinafore. Here's a tuck spot from a 1940s magazine called Women's Journal, and I put just this lovely lady there, and you can journal on the back. Another side of Kanga and Baby Roo, Winnie the Pooh. Here's another charm I made from an offcut from the front page, the front cover illustration. Another flower pot with some geraniums in it, and just a little swatch of a little colorful fabric there, ruffled up. Another page out of the Beatrix Potter Daybook. This is a page out of a book that's for bird watchers, so you can keep track of all the birds that you have spotted. This is a page out of the Book of Psalms from an old Bible. Here's a little vellum tuck spot, and I put just a little brown tag in it that's blank. And it also opens up for lots of journaling space. Here's the other side of the page from Book of Psalms. Eeyore has a birthday. This is a fussy cut that I had been saving for the right book, and this is the right book. I just love how handsome this woodpecker is. Lots and lots of pages in this book. As I said, 224 pages. It's a big book. I have to show you this. I think the guinea pigs are my favorite illustrations in Beatrix Potter books. I like them better than the bunnies, better than the kittens, better than the geese. Yeah, I like the guinea pigs the best. Here's a little collage I created. The pansies are from a 1940s book of Danish stickers that I found on one of my thrifting expeditions, and the stylish lady in the hat is from a reproduction of a Sears Roebuck catalog. The music is from a 1921 hymn book. Little tuck spot that I created from a thank you card. So I just put a few little things in. It's not a Sunnyside journal if it doesn't have an index card in it, I think. I love index cards, especially when they're naturally yellowed like that one. Another page out of that gardening manual. Oh, there we go. This is another spread out of a workbook magazine. This one is from February 1954. I love the old ads in those magazines. This is a reproduction postcard, but I just thought it was so pretty. I found it in an entire book of them on one of my expeditions. So you can journal on the back. And I've put it there with just a rusty paper clip, but you can put it wherever you like. On the back page here, I have created a tuck spot with a window from a photo album. And then I fussy cut, there was a flower right beside it originally. So I fussy cut the flower out and made it sort of three-dimensional. It's quite thick. And then the little journaling card in the back is actually from a book I have of the artwork created by Queen Victoria. She was quite an accomplished artist. And this is a watercolor paint sketch and watercolor painting that she did of her husband Albert's niece, Clotilda. So I thought she was pretty. So I made a little journaling card out of her, and I thought she could be peeking out the window. But you can put whatever you like in behind there. That's up to you. And I left this blank in case you wanted to give it its own designation there. Here's another little rusty safety pin with some little baubles on it, again from necklaces that I find at thrift stores, and I take them apart. I think that just looks really pretty. Over here is a library pocket that I made. If you follow along on my videos, you'll see an episode where I made this library pocket, and this is actually one of the interior pages of the original book, and this signature here is, I suspect, the original owner of the book. She took the time to write her name, Edith E. Wild from Galt, Ontario. So I saved that and turned it into it wasn't always a library pocket. This was a whole page in the front of the book. So I tucked a card in there that you can journal on. And then, as ever, my journals always go home with a two Nanas bookmark. Those are the two Nanas in my life, my mother and her mother. So there's always a two Nanas bookmark in a Sunnyside journal. So that's it. Boy, we got through 224 pages together. Thank you for looking through this book with me. I hope you enjoyed it. This book will be available in my Etsy shop. I'll post the link down below, so if you want to go over and take a look-see, that would be great. Thanks for visiting. Take care. Bye.